here in Stuttgart, Germany. And the final World Gymnastics Championships before the Olympics in Tokyo in 2020. Today, it's the women's all-around final. And hi, everybody. Terry Gannon alongside Tim Daggett and Nastia Lukin. The opportunity doesn't come around often enough. A chance to watch Simone Biles in an all-around final. She hasn't lost one of these in more than 6 years. Nobody really expects her to lose today, but she still has you guys on the edge of your seat because what she does is so spectacular. And Nastia, maybe the toughest thing with her is coming up with the superlatives that we haven't used before.
It really is. And, you know, I think what is so incredible is, you know, so often we try to measure greatness and what really defines that. But what I have just loved all week long here in Germany is seeing every other athlete on the floor stop to watch her. They don't want to miss a single routine or a single skill. And so many of those skills that we did see here in Germany, nobody in the world has ever done them. And even the ones that try to do them, nobody does them as well as she does.
Yeah, for me, she is just awe-inspiring. I mean, it's not just that she's the greatest of all time. I've not talked to a person who challenges that notion. Usually there's always discussion, disagreement, but universally, Simone Biles, greatest of all time.
Goes even beyond that. All of sports really right now, you could argue she carries her sport like no one else does out there. But when you ask her about what's the most impressive thing from the week here at the World Championships, she points to the 16-year-old from St. Paul, Minnesota, Suni Lee, who came in right behind her at the U.S. National Championships. And her teammates were kind of worried about her and nerves calming them down. They don't really have to worry about that.
Absolutely not. She had a few mistakes, one in the qualifying round of competition, but not to worry. She's still placed second behind Simone Biles qualifying into this all-around final. Had a mistake in the team final. You know, it could have been just a slight case of nerves, but I'm really looking forward to watching her out here today. I think she is going to be phenomenal.
Hey, I'll tell you, Suni Lee, she is the second best gymnast in the entire world. If she goes out there and does what she's capable of, she'll get that silver medal. Simone, of course, will get the gold, but it's a race for third, in my opinion.
First year as a senior, second best gymnast in the world. That's a pretty big statement right there. You talk about third. Who else should we watch today?
Well, for me, I've really been impressed with Angelina Melnikova. I have loved watching her. She's kind of been the rock of the Russian national team. Really just calm and cool. Pretty consistent so far here in Germany. That's not always been the case for her, but she will definitely put up a challenge to get on that podium today.
Another gymnast you got to keep an eye out for is Mélanie de Jesus de Santos from France. She is a glorious person to watch. Floats on the uneven bars, has so many wonderful qualities, just flexible, strong, quick, and really makes you love to watch the sport of gymnastics. It's going to be a great day.
They'll figure in, but what's amazing is even those athletes say, hey, this is Simone Biles' stage. We are lucky to be here competing against her and watching her during the competition. So our opportunity to watch Simone Biles in the women's all-around final as the World Championships continue here in Stuttgart. Back inside Schleier Hall here in Stuttgart. That moment when Simone Biles walks out and is announced here. Ron and Ellie in attendance throughout the week cheering her on, and also the other American in this women's all-around final, Suni Lee, her first year as a senior gymnast. And center stage, second in qualifying as we check out those names. Simone, of course, qualified first. Melanie de Jesus dos Santos, and then Angelina Melnikova. Liu Ting. You got a replacement there, and Tang, Xijing from China. That's allowed. We'll talk more about that, but these are the names that are going to figure prominently in Derwael also, and Ellie Black always from Canada. And don't forget, the scores all reset, so nothing carries over from the qualifying. Everybody with a chance to make a run at the podium, including Suni Lee, who's had so much to think about, much more than just competition the last couple of months. It was her dad, John, who fell off a ladder on August 4th while helping a friend trim branches off of a tree. It was just a few days before she left for the U.S. Championships. That was in doubt for a while, but she went, had a breakout performance, and placed second, silver medal, right behind Simone Biles. But her dad, severely injured, paralyzed from the chest down. He's had a long stay in the hospital since, and he has certainly been on her mind this week. With more on that right now, here is Andrea Joyce.
Well, Terry, there have been lots of exciting moments for Team USA here in Germany, but perhaps the best news all week came from St. Paul, Minnesota. After 8 weeks in the hospital, Suni's dad, John, was released yesterday just in time to be home to watch this competition on TV. I spoke to John on the phone last night, and he told me that he is ecstatic, and it is just awesome to be home surrounded by his family. Now, there's lots of rehab and uncertainty ahead, but what Suni has done here has lifted his spirits immensely. You could hear the pride and the emotion in his voice. She's dedicated these championships to him, and she told me after winning the team gold that he's always on her mind. And while everyone else is amazed by her composure, John told me he is not surprised. In his words, she is one strong, tough little girl. His message for her today, the same as it's always been: don't worry about me, just go out there and have fun. Terry?
Andrea, thank you. We certainly send out our best, too, in a full recovery. It has been impressive to watch her focus, compartmentalize, and just shine at these World Championships.
It really has, and take away everything else that she is dealing with coming onto a world scene, her first year as a senior athlete, not to mention the year before the Olympic Games, has truly been remarkable. I really think this is the start of her career.
You think about those that we've already mentioned: Melanie de Jesus dos Santos from France, from Martinique originally, and last year 6th in the all-around at the World Championships. Here she is, a chance for the podium, Tim.
She definitely has a chance, and you know, she was not at her very best in the all-around finals in Doha. If she can put it all together, I mean, you'll see. She is just wonderful to watch.
And really from start to finish, you know, we see in Tim, as you kind of talked about earlier, the grace, the power, the beauty, the artistry. She really does have that whole package.
She's going to do a very popular vault. You'll see a bunch of them. Double twisting, laid out Yurchenko.
Gorgeous.
Oh, that was spectacular. Really great rebound right off the table. You know, she did a great job in qualifying, but in the team finals, France actually stumbled quite a bit. They were 4th in qualification, had a rough day in team finals.
Elizabeth Slights ready to go on uneven bars. So 4 rotations, of course, 4 apparatus, and an afternoon of competition here in Germany getting underway. The 25-year-old who was the world bronze medalist on uneven bars in 2018.
Yeah, and this is really where she shines. Been around for a long, long time. Crowds have been crazy here in Stuttgart.
Beautiful combination right there.
Looking for handstands, and that was perfect. Transition down to the low and right back up again. Really nice.
It's a little off on that last release into the handstand. Recovered so well. Great start.
Absolutely.
It really has been cool to see the German athletes out there receiving so much love from the audience.
And this is a crowd that's turned out in full force all week. I mean, it was packed.
No matter what day of the week.
Oh, yeah.
At 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Exactly.
100,000 spectators expected here at these championships.
So you see her right here. She'll go right back up to the high bar.
The more you connect skills together, the more bonus points you get. She does 3 of them together. We'll see, hopefully, Suni Lee, who does 4 back to back to back to back.
Jesus dos Santos, 14.633 with that start.
Yeah, that is a very big number. Not even 0.8 of a point in deduction. And, you know, on vaulting, this is the top group. So they're seeded. All of the best athletes are right there. The judges are primed to give the big scores to this rotation, no question.
16 years of age, St. Paul, Minnesota, Suni Lee.
Same vault we just saw Melanie do, the double twist. Nicely done. You know, she had a fracture, a slight fracture of her lower leg. And because of that, she was landing kind of awkward with one foot slightly in front of the other. She says she's 100% now, but still does that kind of telemark landing like they do in ski jumping.
Went through the national championships has had to deal with that. The number for sites, 14,866.
It's a good number, and you see that difficulty. That is among the very best in the world. 16.4 maximum.
How about that dynamic together in that group? Two Americans, a young 16-year-old who Simone Biles has talked about. Yep, I'm going to look out for her this week. And now they're competing against each other.
Absolutely, and it goes both ways because you know Suni looks up to Simone so much, both for advice and inspiration, but just being able to be there on that competition floor with her next to her is I'm sure, a huge honor for her.
And now the most decorated female gymnast ever, and most would say, probably everybody would say, the greatest ever. First of four, and they start on vault, of course.
And you know, she's going to do the highest rated vault today in the competition, has a maximum score of 16.0. But she has a bag of tricks, and one of them is a Biles on vault, which is a double twist off. I don't believe she'll do that today. Really complicated, though. Oh, unbelievable. Really great start, just as you would exactly expect.
You know, and this is what we're going to be talking about all day long with Simone, is she does these extremely difficult skills and routines, but she also does them so incredibly well. Everything looks so easy.
Watch her legs, look at her toes, look at her knees. Everything's pinned together, and then just one hop backwards. Probably going to be a 3/10 hop.
Let's take a look from this angle right here. You want to make sure you do not go out of these two lines. So tough to see from that angle.
The line is in, though. You can land on it. It's just if you go over it. I had thought it from one of the other views, it looked very close, but...
Barely out of breath.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
So you see that 1/10 deduction, that penalty. She did go over that line, but no big deal here.
Two Americans off to that start. We go over to uneven bars, and the 2018 uneven bars world champ, Derwael from Belgium, the 19-year-old.
And she is so great on this event from start to finish. It doesn't stop.
And she'll begin with just a gigantic release skill. And then after that, combine a bunch of skills together right here.
Gorgeous.
Very nice.
Here's the start of this combination.
Oh, that's named after her, by the way.
Right back up to the high bar. Beautiful.
Oh, my. Wow. You know what you're going to see over and over again, and we'll see some gymnasts that aren't as smooth and as great as that right there. But the very best in the world, they're doing the hardest skills, but what they do so well is they make it look effortless. This is the Derwael. She catches in a mixed grip and then goes right back down to the low bar.
Now, for being extra picky, which you know the judges are doing, her feet at times are just a little bit flexed, not there great. But that was such a great start. You know, so many of these events for these athletes, you have to, where they are great, you have to hit. And that was that event for her. If she wants a chance, she needs to hit well, and she did.
So over to vault, Shija. This happened a few moments ago.
Very nice.
From China, as we are underway in the women's all-around final. Team on balance beam, Sarah Voss from Germany, 19 years of age.
A lot of things happening at these world championships. Obviously, medals at stake, but also qualifying for the Olympic Games. 3 teams, the United States, Russia, and China, qualified at the 2018 World Championships. Another 9 teams from here, and Germany was one of them.
We talked about this yesterday in the men's competition, starting off on the pommel horse for the men. Always a little bit more nerve-wracking. Same thing here for the women. Starting off on the balance beam when you have extra adrenaline and nerves isn't always easy, but she handled it extremely well. And is glad that one is out of her way.
Very nice dismount. 2.5 twist. Just a slight little check at the end of that, but tell you what, great to compete at home too, isn't it, Nastia?
Pressure as well, though, in front of the home crowd. Wasn't expecting to compete in the all-around, stepped in for an injured athlete. Tang Xijing also stepped in, replaced the Xijing, which you're allowed to do as a country if that athlete is ranked higher than one of those reserves who would go. The women's all-around final with a crowd into it. And Angelina Melnikova from Russia, one of those top athletes in that group, starting on vault.
And she has just been really so consistent all around here. All week long, the qualifying round, the team finals, no major mistakes, no falls. Keep that going here today. She could find herself on the podium. So, you know, it was okay in the air, it was good. Just when she got to the landing, perhaps piped her hips down a little bit and was forced to take a pretty big hop back there.
And, you know, as a coach, it's like you see this kind of a landing and you just go, just take your time, wait it out a little bit. The vault's good, a little bit of cross feet, but watch. There's a slide, that's a 3/10, and that right there is very suspicious to me, and I'm sure the judges as well. It looks like another adjustment.
Part of that silver medal, the team event for the Russians, and also over on uneven bars, Lilia Kaimova.
So it appears because her coach lifted her up there that she perhaps had a fall before that, where unfortunately coming in halfway through the routine due to the world feed here. A little short on that handstand as well.
Nice dismount though, double front.
Taking the host broadcaster's pictures, images throughout the week. Kaimova, who was 12th in qualifying.
Yeah, she really was a rock there, but faltered a little bit in the team championships. Russia, of course, came home with a silver medal behind the United States. The shocker was that China finished out of the medals, and Italy really got the job done.
It's an amazing moment when Italy looked up and saw their name up there in the 3rd spot. Sarah Voss from Germany, 13.866.
And anytime you get in an 8 or better execution score on beam, you are doing a lot of things right.
How about the number for Melnikova? 14.433.
I think it's about right. You know, we've seen some better ones. Mélanie De Jesus de Santos had the highest score, I believe, for that vault thus far.
But Tim, as you mentioned, you take a look at that execution score, and it still was at a 9.0 or a little above a 9.0, so that's really great.
Just over 12 for Kaimova. Over to floor. Cynthia Rodriguez from Spain, 24 years of age, and was 27th in qualifying. The top 24 make it, but of course you've got the 2 athlete per country rule in the U.S. with Grace McCallum in the top 5. She's not here. They would have her as well.
this routine. Not the toughest difficulty, but certainly performed extremely well. The bonus for her, she was part of the team that qualifies Spain to Tokyo 2020.
And said it was the best day of her life. Third time trying to qualify for the Olympics, and this time around is able to make it.
And really, it was a range of emotions for so many different countries. For them, obviously, so much excitement. Here's a double backflip in a pike position. The judges are really looking for the landing, your chest up, and that was great right there.
We'll see other athletes that will do just much more difficult. That's a double twist. Now, to give it a little perspective, Simone Biles' last pass also has a double flip twist in it. But it's got a double flip, too. She does a double twisting, double somersault at the end.
Which not many people can just do separately, let alone at the end of their routine.
Athletes waiting in that area, which we have yet to name. 12.6 for Rodriguez. Oh, sit back down. Get some more camera time. Over to beam now. Julia Steingruber, the 25-year-old from Switzerland, who has medaled at the World Championships. You see on vault 2017, 2015. She was 5th in the final. This last year's Worlds with a knee injury.
And really thought about hanging up her grips at that point in time. So hard to deal with all of these injuries. She's very well known. Nice combination series. She was the 2013 Swiss Female Athlete of the Year. Very difficult. What makes that so hard is she actually does it with her legs straight. A lot of gymnasts will do the tucked front, but she does it in a piked position.
Oh, just about to say a good combination mixed of dance and acro. A little shaky on pretty much a balance check on every single skill so far, but just the dismount.
Julia Steingruber as we continue with the World Championships in Stuttgart at the moment. For the American women in the all-around, the World Championships, 9 of the last 11 gold medals, and Tim 6 in a row.
Unbelievable. Just look at that. There are a couple. Of course, Aliyah Mustafano, one of the greats, Vanessa Ferrari, who kind of got things rolling for Italy. But dominance, absolute dominance.
And not going to do it yet, but you could add 2019.
Pretty much.
Most likely. Although Nina Derwael on bars, 15.2, which is the highest number that we have seen throughout the week, and will be, at least after the opening rotation, very close to Simone Biles.
Well, she will be.
She will be, actually, yeah.
The problem Nina and everybody else will have to deal with is that Simone can get 15s on every event.
Yep. 12.8, Steingruber. Some of the action taking place while we were away, and athletes waiting for their numbers.
We've kind of mentioned we really do not love this area. You know, it's this new thing that gymnastics, I guess, is now doing. In figure skating, it's very common.
The
as you
kiss
call
and
it, the
cry,
kissing,
yeah.
the kiss and cry, of course. But
I've never heard that term.
really? But, you know, I think we're so used to going straight to whether it's your teammates or your coaches and hopefully celebrating or at least being there with them. And you're kind of now secluded off by yourself now here in that corner.
You're thinking as an athlete, as a
Yes.
spectator, as an observer. I kind of like it. Isolate them and get their reaction. All right, over to Florin. Brooklyn Moores, the 18-year-old from Ontario, Canada, qualified 25th, but again, the 2 athlete per country rule.
And this routine is truly spectacular. Just absolutely art. Wow. You know, as a younger gymnast, she told us that she struggled a lot with the strength and the power aspect to the floor exercise. So really focused on the choreography, the grace, the beauty, and gosh, has it paid off.
Not going to see her in the event finals on floor. The Canadians actually made an inquiry on her score, and eventually it was lowered, and she missed the final.
Absolutely, and I don't know why, because she is, as Nastia said, just absolutely stunning. She followed her older sister, Victoria, into the sport of gymnastics, who is an incredible tumbler, but what she has is just the grace, the artistic component. Not a lot of people can dance like her, but even if they could, they don't, because it is so exhausting to dance like this and do all the tumbling. Kudos to her.
So 1 rotation in the books here in the women's all-around final. It is Simone Biles in the lead. But here's the shock, it's close. Long way to go, though. We'll continue from Stuttgart, Germany, in a moment. The standings after 1 rotation in the women's all-around final. Simone Biles on top, but an excellent routine on uneven bars for Nina Derwael, Elizabeth Seitz, and then Melanie de Jesus dos Santos ahead of the young teenager from Minnesota, Suni Lee. Melnikova also figured to be in the mix and have a chance at a spot on the podium by the end of the night. So this top group started on vault over to uneven bars, and Simone Biles is in everything, every event this week. This is the one, though, at which she hasn't won a gold medal, and might be the lowest number in this women's all-around final.
Yeah, it could be, but she did win a world medal last year on this event.
Well, a gold medal
yes,
is what
exactly.
I'm saying. She would love to do that. She'll have that chance later in the week. It's a busy week for Simone, and she and Suni Lee in that top group on uneven bars here in the women's all-around final when we come back to Stuttgart. In Germany with the 2nd rotation now underway. Balance beam and Ellie Black, the 24-year-old from Nova Scotia who won silver in the all-around at the World Championships back in 2017.
And that, of course, was in Montreal. She decided to hang on after the Rio Olympic Games because she wanted to do a Worlds at home. It went spectacularly.
And really, since then, has just been phenomenal, has put Canada kind of on the map on the women's side. Beautiful back layout. And that's what she said, you know, when we got a chance to talk to her. She said that her goal was really to do this for the next generation of Canadian young gymnasts, so they can kind of watch and see this is possible too for us to be out here with some of the best in the world.
And you know, every time you ask her a question about her own career and her successes, she always brings it right back around to the team. That is what she's doing it for. She says as she gets older, it has become more and more important for her. Nice 2.5, good power.
Top 10 in qualifying. She qualified 9th. The effort on beam for Ellie Black, kicking off this second rotation.
She is a rock. It's unbelievable. Just everything is planned and done with precision. So decorated. Won the all-around at the Pan American Games this summer. At the last Pan American Games, won the all-around and just a boatload of other medals as well. Nice job.
Meanwhile, over to Hitomi Hatakeda from Japan, 19 years of age, made her debut at Worlds last year. She finished 6th with the Japanese team. Individual finals here.
Nice ball, really clean. But she's going to do a 1.5 twist on this laid out flip right here. Really clean, like I said, and a pretty good landing.
Little deep in that squat position, if we're being picky.
That was a few moments ago, so we get the numbers right away. 13 point.
Most of the gymnasts we've seen have been doing a 5.4 difficulty. That's if you add an extra half turn.
And Ellie Black, an even 14. And you get the total for the all-around so far. So over to Suni Lee on uneven bars. Second rotation for this top group.
And she can really set herself apart and move, I would say, right behind Simone with not a great routine for her, just a typical one.
It starts off right here. Huge release move right off the top. Right back down to the low bar. Oh.
Ooh.
Oh, my God. Unbelievable.
You know, we've watched her in podium training. We've watched her in the qualifications and the team finals. And I've not yet seen her do something like this. It's just way too far from the bar.
Yeah, never. That skill from high bar to low bar is called a pack salto. I've never seen her miss that skill. You have to factor in, though, she's doing it from, I would say, the most difficult skill being done in the world on uneven bars, a Nabiva, where she keeps her body completely straight as she's flipping over the top bar. But this is devastating for this young lady. A full point off in deductions.
Beautiful. Little short on that last handstand. Just the dismount right here. Well, such a great recovery for Suni, but unfortunately, that is a huge mistake right there. And as I was talking about earlier, for Nina that we just saw in the uneven bars, this routine for Suni right here is so critical for her to make because she has such a big advantage over so many of these other athletes. She really could not afford to have such a huge mistake right here.
What a time for that to happen, too. Was the best. That event at the U.S. National Championships. Georgia Godwin a moment ago from Australia here on Vault.
Great vault, great form in the air, nice landing. Much lower difficulty than we, no, not even comparing to Simone, of course, but to a lot of the other gymnasts out here.
And Team Australia had the dreaded 13th spot, just finishing one placement away from qualifying a team.
So the number for Godwin, and now Suni Lee waits for this number.
And I'll tell you what, at this point in time, for Suni to get on that podium, she needs help from some of the other top competitors. They got to come off an event as well.
She got an even 15 in qualifying, and that doesn't always compare exactly to what you're going to get. That's almost 2 points lower.
Yeah, really is a huge error. And it's just so uncharacteristic of her.
So from one American to the next, Simone Biles perhaps on her way to a 5th world all-around title with the lead after one rotation.
You know, we talked a little bit earlier about how maybe this isn't her best event, but then we took a look at the scores from the qualifying round of competition. So close. 14.733 here on the uneven bars, and on balance beam 14.8.
Some people might get rattled. They just saw their teammate, kind of their younger friend, stumble in probably the biggest meet of her life, but not this woman right here, Simone Biles. Just incredible consistency, great combinations.
Here we go. Double twisting, double back.
The height just takes your breath away.
Doing the toughest stuff in the world and making it look like child's play. Like a kid swinging on the bars in a playground. Unbelievable.
So here's that dismount. Terry, you said she flies so high. Look how much higher above the bar. Can't even quite tell on that angle as much as others, but it is just incredible.
Flies out of the camera shot.
She really does.
That's one of the examples of skills that she added to her repertoire after her dominating performance at the Rio Olympic Games. She just keeps getting better.
Over to beam, Giorgia Villa from Italy, part of that bronze medal for Italy, which was such a stunner.
Oh, just being here live in this arena, you could just feel the excitement and the energy and the emotion from Team Italy. Wow.
Hangs on, super difficult combination. Round up into that back with a pull. Oh my goodness, the dreaded wolf turn. When they do it, it looks so easy, but you see just about the very best in the world. During a training session, though, they'll have a clunky one and they'll come off the beam just like she did. Too bad. She is part of the new generation for Italy. 4 new seniors, a completely reworked team.
Here's that first skill that we saw, round off backflip with a full twist. Was a little, just a tiny bit off, but was able to kind of save it in the air.
That makes it so much more difficult doing it from the round up.
All right, we get the score now, 14.733 for Simone Biles.
The exact same score that she got
Yeah.
qualified.
No. For team, I made my routine, but for qualifications, I didn't.
Happy conversation, though. Shija from China, only 15 years old, coming in, just turned 16 during the World Championships, competing her first World Championship. He qualified 7th.
The Chinese gymnasts have just been so great on this event for years and years. Unfortunately, struggled a little bit in the team finals.
Yu Ting Ting, their veteran, actually came off the bars twice, which was shocking. Of course, China placing out of the medals in 4th.
Big deduction,
Oh, boy.
another one right there.
Good, but not great, that's for sure.
So we'll continue in a moment. The World Championships from Germany. Uneven bars for Lee, now the number 13.366 after some problems.
Yeah, she had a lot of rough areas in that exercise.
So back to the uneven bars. Tang Xijing from China trying to do a little better than her teammate just did. She's just 16 years old.
This was her best event in qualifying. Scored a 14.76. Oh, excuse me. Correct that. China in the team competition had a lot of problems on this skill. One more. Into a nice release. Really great stuff. Handstand position, Nasia, I thought was good too.
Little bit, if I'm being super picky, arch back in those handstands a tad bit, but beautiful double out dismount.
She had a 14.16 in qualifying. A little bit of arch in the handstand, but they're definitely looking for vertical position. And maybe a 1/10 of a point on each one of those. Nice transition right there.
For Julia Steinberger on floor exercise.
Here's that dismount. So you really are looking for your hips being completely stretched and open all the way around, just like she did there. That was gorgeous.
And sticks, so,
And
which
now,
helps a lot.
Alin Fries.
Julia Steingruber, while we were away, that effort on floor, 13.633 for her. So you see where she is overall, 13th. It's Simone Biles who has the lead here. Going to go over to the balance beam, and Flavia Saraiva, the 20-year-old from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, who was 8th in the all-around at last year's World. Saw her in Rio. I mean, this is one of those fun gymnasts to watch, and credits much of her success recently to your dad.
Oh.
And his work with her.
Yeah, unfortunately, they just had a few injuries from some of their top athletes. A lot of falls and mistakes in the qualifying round, which left them out of qualifying for the Olympic Games, which was just devastating. All of them in tears.
But her performance in the qualification placed her high enough to earn her own berth as an all-around gymnast to Tokyo.
They had such a great showing at the World Championships last year in the team finals. Almost got onto that podium up until that last event.
Came right down to the end, and just a few mistakes at the end of that.
You know, I think they actually were just a little shocked and surprised to find themselves in contention for a medal. They've never been there before. Nerves got the best of them, unfortunately. But this routine right here for Flavia is beautiful. Extremely difficult series right here, 3 elements in a row.
Wow, this is about as dead on as you can be on balance beam.
Oh, just a slight wobble there, but that ring is that position in the air, exactly what the judges are looking for.
And you see that, so that's a variation of that ring leap. One of the requirements is you've got to throw your head and shoulders back so you completely lose sight of the beam. There's another one right there.
She just does it so well.
Very daring element.
And that was great. A few slight wobbles in the routine, but when she is on that beam routine, is not only is it just beautiful to watch, but extremely difficult, and she just does it all so well.
Tang Xijing, okay, 14.533, so much better than Lee, who went right before her. Get a number for Saraiva in a moment. But first, over to that top group on uneven bars, and Angelina Melnikova will be next. She was 5th in the all-around last year at the World Championships, qualified 4th at the end of this final.
Just scored slightly, actually, behind Simone in the qualifying round. Has a 1/10 advantage in the difficulty score over Simone.
And the way she gets all of that is she does things called inside stalter. She'll scoot her feet in between her hands. Makes it much more difficult. Once again, watch right here. In between her hands.
Very difficult.
Woo. She doesn't rotate that the way I would want her to do. You know, it's almost like she's waiting for the, oh boy, struggle there.
She seems to do that kind of on every single landing, almost just want to hurry up and turn to the judges to avoid any extra steps or jumps. You know, and she got through that. The first half of the routine was beautiful. Unfortunately, a few hesitations. And here's that release move, Tim, you were talking about. You really want to try to get your shoulders rotated over the bar a little bit quicker and rotate it.
Yeah, and you want to bring your arms to the bar. The bar comes to her arms. You got to grab the bar.
Dismount, full twisting double back.
Part of that silver medal for the Russian women, but how about the Russian men and what they've been able to accomplish? A gold medal and taking down China.
It was electric in here last night.
Wasn't it?
I'll tell you. You know, we showed a graphic too. They had never won
As Russia.
As
right.
Russia.
Saraiva 14.033.
Better than qualifying. She had a 13.7 there, day one.
So back to balance beam. Elizabeth Seitz from Germany.
She'll do a very popular but really tricky mount. It's a leap off of the vaulting board called a switch leap. Makes it look easy. Great fight there. She was pretty off and disguised it well.
These dance elements that we see just like that maybe don't look as hard as some of the tumbling skills, but 4-inch wide balance beam they're pretty tricky.
Yeah, if I was coaching a gymnast on beam, I don't think I would ever allow them, or you know, I would, but I'd say I really don't like that double turn. It's just too risky.
I'm right there with you.
Seems to me like everything's risky on beam. Seitz has got her family and friends here in the arena watching her. Mention all those surgeries she's had through the years since competing at her first World Championships back in 2009, but also said every year I deal with problems with my feet. It's just never ending.
Yeah, you know, and the older you get, it just wears you down. I don't think there's an athlete, male or female here, that isn't playing with some pain.
Get the number there. And she's 25, as you see. Melnikova's number 13.9. Seitz is 25. That's not ancient, but in gymnastics, you've been around a while, and that's long years.
Well, before Oksana Chusevitna came to be, 25 was ancient.
Melanie de Jesus dos Santos, part of that top group and a top 3 qualifier on even bars.
She's typically great on this event. Big release. Oh.
My gosh.
Wow. This is pretty amazing. We've seen a number of the top contenders completely fall. Suni a little before on uneven bars, and now this.
What's that do to you, Nastia, so early in this routine?
Well, you really just want to start over. And obviously, unfortunately, you can't. But it's tough to get back up there. You only have 30 seconds to get up.
Oh, my.
And again.
Word.
Wow, and you know, that one right there, though, I would say that she probably was just so upset with missing the release earlier. This is challenging, but both hands were on the bars and maybe just was thinking either what happened earlier or what was coming down the pike. And 2 falls, 2 full points, plus points.
Fortunately, will knock her chances off the podium 100%.
Great dismount, double layout, full twist.
Oh, and it's just so unfortunate because she is just such a stunning gymnast. We talked about it since the top of the show, but really does have it all when she is able to hit 4 routines in one day.
Saw that image of the other gymnast too, watching that, and just couldn't believe it.
Well, the door's open. You know, she really had such a great chance to get on that podium, 2nd, 3rd place, behind Simone, of course.
Yeah, she was so close last year and didn't do her absolute best, but
Sights 13.233 as we continue here. Rounded out the 2nd rotation of 4, that opening vault from Simone Biles. She leads the way here in Stuttgart at the World Championships. Joyce. And oh, by the way, Simone Biles has accomplished a few things in her career at the world's most decorated female gymnast in history with 21 medals. Got a chance to be the most decorated overall. Vitaly Sherbo with 23.
I'd be shocked if she doesn't do that.
15 gold medals after that team gold. So the top group over to the balance beam. That's where we'll see Simone Biles next. Do we see the Biles dismount?
I think she's so angry. I know she's so angry because they really did a major injustice. If you do a full twisting double back and you add a full to it, the logic of the rule book says that it should be 3/10 more. They gave it only 1/10 more, citing that it was a danger factor for other gymnasts.
So to kind of answer your question, it's almost not worth it.
Okay.
You know, because it's so difficult, especially at the end of your routine. And if you're only gaining 1/10 of a point, which, you know, to be honest, taking a look at the standings, she doesn't even need that. She did it once. She got it named after her. It's now forever in the code of points.
How about in the beam final?
In the beam final, she might do it.
Maybe. But you know what she said coming into these World Championships? She wasn't really worried about the titles and the medals. What she wanted was to put her name on the sport, and she said she was most excited about getting 2 more skills named after them. After these championships, it'll become official, but she now has 4 skills that will bear the Biles name. Unreal.
Look at that, more than a point the lead right now, so she has extended that lead. Remember, it was what, 3/100ths of a point.
But you know, I hope she proves us wrong and does it, because it is just so phenomenal to watch that skill.
The athlete in her might just say, you know what, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do this. We'll see.
Well, she did it in the qualification, and that's where she got it. Officially, it'll be named after her. Then she did not do it in the team championships.
All right, how about Melanie de Jesus dos Santos? What must be going through her mind as she goes to beam now?
Just devastation. You know, she, coming into this competition, she did so well in the qualifying, ended up in 3rd place behind Simone and Suni, and now finds herself in 16th place.
So this is warm-ups, and that skill right there is where she has fallen 2 times at these World Championships.
So here's that qualifying round of competition. 2 back handsprings into a back layout. Tries to save it, wasn't able to do it. Just a few days later, goes up in the team finals. The exact same skill. Off.
And like
again.
I said, just moments ago in the warm-up, fell off. And the thing that's so bad about it, I believe every time she fell off, she fell to the same side, which means that there's really kind of something funky going on. If I'm coaching her, I tell her, you fall to the other side this next time.
What I was just about to say, do everything in your power to go the other way.
Just get you caught up. De Jesus dos Santos 11-9-3-3, almost 3 points lower than her qualifying on uneven bars. So 2 beam and the third rotation as we get set for Simone Biles.
We talk about how difficult that dismount is at the end, but really all the way up until that moment, this routine is spectacular.
I agree, Nastia, but I think it's easy for her. And I mean, seriously. Big test here. 3 in a row.
How can that be easy for anyone?
It is for her. For a long while, she was doing a skill called a Barani, which is a front flip with a half turn. She struggled on that quite a bit. Started doing it after she came back from her hiatus after the Rio Olympic Games and quickly took it out of the routine. So here we go. Does she do it? I hope so, because I'm a fan. 2 flip-flops to a double-double. Nope, just the full in. We may never see it again, Terry, because the FIG did her such a wrong.
Oh, don't say that, Tim Daggett.
I know.
Don't go there.
1/10, that is just absolutely, as Nastia said, it's not worth it.
All right, over to floor as we wait for that number, and the athlete in second, Nita Derwael. More than a point the difference between first and second behind Biles.
But she has done a tremendous job. She has long been known as an uneven bar specialist, but she wants to be taken seriously in the all-around stage as well.
It's not Mozart. Everything but air guitar.
Very nice job. You know, about as well as she can do. She's not a powerhouse leg gymnast.
Yeah, and unfortunately after this event she'll go to the vault, where again not quite her strongest event. Started off so strong on the uneven bars, where we'll see her later this week in the event finals as well, as she goes for another gold there. Her opening tumbling pass, a double back flip. So again, not as difficult. We will see Simone do that same double back flip and just add 3 twists to it.
Easy as that. Nice combination tumbling pass though. Does it well, has a good landing.
But Tim, as you mentioned, you know, she really has never been considered an all-around gymnast. So to find herself sitting in second place must be amazing for her.
14-6 and change. What do you think of that number?
Well, I think it was about right. She actually had a couple of little hiccups throughout, and her dismount, surprisingly, wasn't great, even though she didn't do you know, the double-double. It was great, but not by Simone Biles standards.
Shija from China now on beam.
Great extent. Oh, my goodness.
He's trying to connect it into that back handspring. Just rushed a little bit.
The Chinese do so many things well on balance beam. Really tricky here. That was awesome. Handspring front. We saw a teammate of hers struggle on that in the team competition.
What I find a little interesting when she goes for her leap elements right here, it almost looks like her eye level is way past the beam, looking almost into the crowd. Normally you kind of look down on the beam.
Yeah, that's wild, isn't it?
I don't think I've ever seen or noticed that with anybody else.
Third rotation underway. Simone Biles on top of the all-around. Many of these athletes will be heading there next year. Trying to win a world title, though, right now. You think about the standings, and Simone Biles solidly in first place, but after that, it's pretty wide open.
It is, and there's a whole bunch of gymnasts that are in contention.
13-7, Shija. Nina Derwael has been in second through the rotations, but that difference between first and second has widened, and a number of people with what they have left have a chance.
It'll widen some more, Terry.
Yep. Tang Xijing from China.
Really tricky mount. Gorgeous. Another very hard element. She'll repeat it, but all on the beam.
Beautiful.
Oh. A lot of gymnasts attempt that, but very few do it as well as the Chinese, keeping their body board straight. Many people close their hips, makes it much easier. Not the Chinese. Little bit of an error.
Such a simple
I know.
skill, just a back handspring.
I was just about to say I am so looking forward to a perfectly hit balance beam routine here. The entire Chinese delegation, they can take your breath away on this event.
And when they do, it's almost like every single element, when they hit it perfectly, it's like it should be the tutorial for each of those skills. It is just technically so precise and beautiful.
It was okay, the dismount. You know, they changed the rule recently. You're allowed to do a double full, which is only a C-valued skill that gives you 0.3 of a point. It's just a little too easy. And the thing that kind of makes me burn a little bit, it's the easiest thing she did in her routine, and she took a big step on it.
There's those ring leaps that we were talking about earlier from Flavia.
Representing the Russian Lila.
Good to see some smiles after a tough team finals competition for China.
Teenage enthusiasm coming out at the end of that. Brooklyn Moores from Canada over on uneven bars next.
Has struggled a little bit on this event earlier in the week. Little leg separation there on that pack salto.
And none of the elements are put together one after another. She's capable of doing some of them, but not quite comfortable at this point in time. A nice release skill. You don't see that very often anymore.
And that was a great routine for Brooklyn. You know, not as difficult as so many of these other athletes on the uneven bars. So you see that release move. See her trying to spot that bar to catch it.
So just for some perspective, her maximum score in qualifying was a 15-0. Nina Derwael, 16.5. And Simone, I believe, right around a 6.2, maybe.
How different the lights are. We've talked a little bit about it, but the athletes have commented when you walk, it's a theatrical lighting situation here, and it has made things difficult for some athletes.
Oh yeah, some of the athletes have told us that they really do not like it, especially on events like the balance beam. You can actually sometimes see your shadow a few feet away from under the beam, and that can really throw you off. Even right here in that image, you see the shadow of the beam on both sides.
Melnikova, one of those who certainly has a chance to be on that podium.
Wasn't as perfect as she could have been on the last event on even bars, but certainly good enough to keep her in this race.
Bit of a delay as they wait for that number. Multiple numbers, as a matter of fact. Melnikova waits on beam to get started. 13.266.
So as Tim, you were mentioning, you see that difficulty score of 4.9. Simone has a 6.2. So
I think I just heard them say that an inquiry was put in for this score. They thought that the starting score was too low, and I believe they have raised it. I don't know if it's official yet.
It can be a risky thing because they have lowered some after inquiries as well.
They lowered for Brooklyn Moores on floor, and they lowered for Kara Aker on beam. The really sad thing was Kara Aker had already qualified for the beam finals. When they inquired, they lowered it by 0.4 from 5.8 to 5.4, knocked her out.
Got it.
No, I think the most unfortunate part of that was she was in the beam final, as you mentioned, and they were the last subdivision to go. They could have not done that, and she would have found herself in the final.
See the comparison between the two at the top of the standings, and Simone extending that lead.
And she'll do that even more so on the final event floor for her.
It's amazing. I mean, there's so many amazing things about her, but she steps away for a year and a half, comes back. Do you think that she's even a little surprised that she has continued to get better and do new things, not just hold it at that level?
Well, I think, and that's, you know, something that she told us was even these two new elements that she did here for the first time, the triple twisting double back on floor and a double twisting double back on beam. When her coach Laurent Landy told her that you are going to compete these skills or at least try them, she goes, "Are you kidding me?
Yeah, right, exactly.
No chance I can do them." And here she is doing them here on a world stage.
That was the end of that uneven bar routine for Naomi Visser there at the end. But you know, so many, 22 is not ancient, obviously, but again, goes back, she often says, "I'm getting old, I've been around a while." To hold it at a certain level is a big challenge for most athletes. She keeps taking it beyond that.
Yeah, but she did say that it's 99% for sure that this will be her last World Championships ever. I don't know if it's going to be a reality, but that's her plan at this point. Go to Tokyo.
Meanwhile, Alice Kinsella, a few moments ago, from England, qualified 15th.
And a good vault, but really not the same rebound and explosion off the table we've seen from some of the other gymnasts. Just doesn't have as good of a body position. when her arms reach back to the table, instead of maintaining an open shoulder angle, she actually pulls her arms down, which lowers her center of gravity.
14.266. Kinsella's competed at the last couple of world championships, hasn't made it to the event finals. Tang Xijing 14.6 her number, and smiles all around there. Angelina Melnikova.
You know, and the scores have just been taking really forever this entire week.
Feels like she's been waiting there an hour and a half.
And that's the worst feeling in the world, especially on the balance beam. You're already so nervous. You just want to get up there on the beam.
And beam is where all of the major conferences have occurred. Really nice.
Pretty much a carbon copy. She did that in the team finals. Quite get her shoulders all the way around in that full twisting back handspring.
Now she also struggles with this wolf turn. I saw her in training one day, and she was exasperated. In recent years, she has really struggled to get the scores that she thought she deserved. She used to do a lot of those ring leaps where you have to throw your head and your shoulders back, and every competition the judges were saying no, not good enough. She reworked the routine. It's a much better one for her.
And that was a great routine.
At an important time.
Exactly.
Well, to get through balance beam, that's big. Nice double pike somersault. Good open of the body, a little bit bent over, but my book, that should be no deduction at all.
Now over to floor, where that top group will go next for the final rotation, but we see Flavia Saraiva from Rio.
She has a wild mount. A double laid out somersault is really difficult to do. But watch the skill immediately prior to it. She'll, instead of do a back handspring, she'll do what's called a whip back. So it's a flip in the air to a double laid out somersault, right here. Oh.
Stays in bounds there. Can't help but smile.
Affectionately known back home as Flavinha. Small stature. She's grown since the Rio Games, though.
Always really been a fan favorite, too. Starting and even before Rio, but in Rio, the crowd, of course, that home crowd went so wild for her.
There's that pass I was talking about, to do a whip back in front of that double somersault in a stretched position. Just a small error here. Very much a veteran right there. She may look little, but she's a pro. She could have easily just put that foot back down and it would have been out of bounds.
And just great to see her having such a great day after a devastating day of competition for Team Brazil, not qualifying to the Olympic Games as a team.
All right, Melnikova an even 14, so overall behind Derwael. Tang Xijing, who is a replacement here in this all-around with high numbers. Saraiva.
That's amazing. She is in second position, and she was an add-on.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, not expecting to be there. Talking about Xijing. And Tang, a late add-on for a replacement, withdrawal, a teammate. Elizabeth Seitz now, floor exercise. But it is Simone Biles with that lead still, obviously. Is it 1.3 and change? Home crowd getting ready for this.
This is another one of her best events. Very powerful vaulter. Also shows that off extremely well on floor.
Speaking of which, that's where Simone Biles will be next.
And she might only have a 1.3 lead, but when you compare her last event, floor exercise, to the rest of the field, it'll greatly increase. I don't know, what was that?
What was that
about?
look?
Yeah.
So I think, and Tim, you maybe mentioned this a little bit, but the dismount, she did, I mean, don't get me wrong, it was still great because it was, of course, performed by Simone Biles, but it just wasn't as high, and the rotation in the air, she just seemed like she wasn't as comfortable, the landing not as great as we've seen her do, so
A little
her
further.
standards are high.
Yeah, a little further off to the side than
Yep.
she typically is also, which really limits the power as well.
13.9 a change for Saraiva as she tries to better her 8th place last year, currently in 7th. And now this crowd here in Germany getting ready for Elizabeth Seitz. It's a routine the crowd was looking forward to.
They loved it. Coaches did too.
Been some time this week here in Germany. Packed house throughout the qualifying and the actual women's team, men's team, and now this all around. We got Oktoberfest going on right now too. It is packed around these areas.
Nice tumbling run there, an Arabian double front.
They're doing it so well.
Double back in a pike position.
They really are, and this crowd is amazing, literally lifting them up to their best performances ever. They're feeling the passion, and they're showing excellence in action. It's completely incredible to watch it.
Und da freut sich auch die Mama und der kleine Bruder.
I don't know if I really ever competed in a big competition like this on home turf. Did you, Tim?
Well, kind of for me. I went to school at UCLA, and the '84 Olympics were there. So,
LA.
I guess yes.
Oh, yeah.
It was fun.
That qualifies. Yeah, the Olympics qualifies.
I would say so.
Big competition. 13-3 for Sites. I loved it here. It is an interesting dynamic, though, because you get excited, but you do feel a lot of pressure. They're counting on you.
They sure are. And they can cheer loud, or they can go the other way.
Team sports, I played one of them. You go on the road, sometimes you feel less pressure and more motivated to silence the crowd. Back to Suni Lee at the end of... That's not Lee Shija. That is Suni Lee. And she did stay up. Remember the problem she had that we showed you earlier, so there wasn't a fall this time around.
Yeah, I'm so happy that that worked out for her, because she actually does that element really well. The reason she sometimes falls on it is because she's so aggressive and really bounces.
Over the floor, and Ellie Black.
Really difficult first and second tumbling runs, both combinations. She says occasionally people will ask her, why are you still going? You've done so much in gymnastics. She says, I've got a passion for it. I love the sport. Why would I stop?
That combination pass right here, a front full to a triple twist. And what the judges are looking for, making sure your feet get all the way around, 3 complete rotations.
And then another tricky one, 2.5 twisting layout into a double pike. Very hard to fit all of that into one 40-foot by 40 area.
So as we take you to break, can report Suni Lee's score on being 13.833 into 6th place before Ellie Black gets her number for that floor exercise. It figures to be the 5th world all-around gold medal for Simone Biles. Think back to last year in that largest margin of victory under the current system, 1.693. She wasn't even sharp. She was disappointed by what she did at the World Championships last year. Looking to this final rotation, she's up by 1.3. Looking for gold again here in Germany.
As a struggling actor,
Going into the final rotation, so Simone Biles expected to wrap this up. Look at the fight for 2nd and 3rd place. A replacement here in the all-around. Tang Xijing, what's supposed to be here, in for Liu Ting, and she might win the silver. Needed Derwael trying to give Belgium their first women's world all-around medal. Melnikova factored in from the start. She's right there, and Suni Lee, a little more than a point from the podium right now, guys.
Yeah, but you know, Angelina, Melnikova, she actually goes to an event where she can get a pretty big number, whereas both of the Chinese were in the low 12s in qualification.
So that top group will be on floor, and it's Li Shija from China who will go first.
in on floor, so no deduction. Performed very well. The only thing it lacks is the bigger tumbling that brings in the higher maximum potential score. She scored only a 12.6 in the qualifying and had a max score of 14.5. Simone Biles' max score on floor exercise, 16.6.
You're going to keep doing this, aren't you?
Well, it's just, you know, both of the Chinese have done a phenomenal job, but they are going to their weakest event.
Yeah.
And some of the other athletes, Angelina Melnikova, she's going to an event where she can get a 14. She can't.
Yep. And you've got another gymnast from China coming up next, and it's the person I mentioned a moment ago, Tang Xijing, who has a chance, remarkably, to step in as a replacement in medal.
But really, so far, for both of the gymnasts from China, a great day of competition, just so much better than we saw in the team final.
It was uncharacteristic, really. The falls that we saw, China has been, you know, just so tremendous for decades on bars and beam, and that's where they faltered. It was shocking to see it all unfold. I had China second to the U.S. before the competition began, and they didn't even get a medal, fourth, behind Italy.
Last world medal in the women's all-around for China was back in 2011, so it's been a while there. Another thing about this, as it comes down to the final and you look at the standings, could be the first time Simone Biles wins the all-around without another American on the podium.
And that really, that's a shocking thing for me. But especially how it is panned out, you know, with Suni Lee falling on an event she's pristine on.
Saw the number for Lee, and now Tang Xijing, the 16-year-old, with a great opportunity. It comes down to this, what she does on floor. In second place after 3 rotations.
Tang Xijing.
fabulous day for this young lady. A great competition. As we've mentioned over and over again, she is a replacement athlete. You got to go back in time to 1992. Tatiana Gutsu from the unified team at that point in time replaced Rosa Galieva and ended up winning the gold over Shannon Miller, who I thought should have won.
You know, won't happen here today over Simone Biles, but she can certainly find herself on the podium in the qualifying round. As you mentioned, Tim, a little bit of a lower score, had only a 12.866.
Sights over on vault, meanwhile. And that's why you hear this from the crowd.
She deserves it. Fabulous.
Hearing it again. They've gotten used to doing that. Coming down to the final athletes. The top ones looking for medals here at the World Championships. Back on floor, Angelina Melnikova looking for a medal. Tang Xijing, 13.6 the number for that floor routine a moment ago. She would need a big number, 14.567 past Tang Xijing.
Yeah, she scored a 14.1 in qualifying, and that is a very tall number. That's a Simone Biles-like number.
We'll see. Unlikely, though. Over to Ellie Black on vault.
Oh, boy. And that is a new...
Reaching down as if she's injured.
She typically does a vault that lands facing forwards. When you do a vault that is facing towards the table, your ankles can take a huge shock. This is upgraded from what we saw. You have very low landing. That I feel her pain. I felt it, and I know you have too, Nastia, many times. A lot of forces going into the ground.
Being carried off, helped off now.
That's too bad.
Yeah. Mainstay on that team, and the leader, as Melnikova waits and stares at that screen, waiting. So while up, 14.066. So she's not going to catch Tang Xijing, but solidly into second place. And remember, Simone Biles still to come. So this is, the gold medal's one thing, but the medal situation certainly up for grabs here.
Yeah, winning an all-around medal, that is a gigantic accomplishment. It's really what everybody starts out as. You do have some athletes that later on in life decide to specialize in a place, but
Ellie Black, the number, as she fights back tears. Into third at this point. Meanwhile, Derwael was less than 7/10 of a point behind Tang Xijing. She needs 13.967 to go into podium position, passing Melnikova.
Her maximum starting score, though, is very low. It's at 14.6. Most of the other athletes are doing much higher vaults than this. Oh, and a big hop.
So most likely won't make that podium, but as we mentioned earlier, and that uneven bar routine that we saw from the start was just so great, and she is going to try to win another gold medal in that event later this week. But just what a great day for her.
Unbelievable.
Finding herself in second place halfway through the all-around competition. Never once really considered an all-around gymnast.
Be in a position to do what Belgium hasn't done. A women's all-around world medal. They've got a men's, but that was back in 1905.
Nice body position. Just doesn't have the dynamics, the power that's necessary. That was a Yurchenko with a full twist. We've seen a lot of double fulls. We've seen other vaults that start as high as 6-0 in this competition.
Remember what she needs, 13.967 to pass Melnikova.
The way they've been judging at this Worlds, there's no way they're going to give it that.
Nope, 13.6.
But that's a great score. A 9.0 execution, huge hop back on that landing. And she's got to be happy with the way that she finished 4 strong events.
Need to be, okay, it's a formality. We put it up there because you always do it officially, but Simone Biles, at some point, it's not about the numbers or even the titles. It is about watching and enjoying and admiring what she does out here.
And you know, her coach, Laurent Landy, he has said right from the beginning when he started coaching her, after her hiatus, that she competes with only one person in the world, and that's the greatest of all time, herself.
Suni Lee would need 14.968 to get on the podium. That's higher than Simone Biles' qualifying score, so unlikely.
Only got a 14.2 in the qualifying round. And just so disappointing after that fall on the uneven bars, but recovered so well. Unfortunately, we didn't see the whole routine on the balance beam, but as we were told, made that skill that she fell on twice already here in Germany and made the whole routine.
Saw the dismount.
We did.
Take note, broadcasters' images here. So Suni Lee, as you heard from Andrea, her dad out of the hospital and watching back at home, and we send our best to him and his recovery, the entire family paying attention to what she's doing here in Stuttgart. It comes down to this on floor for her.
Not impossible, but highly improbable. Has a maximum starting score of 15.7. She'll have to do the routine of a lifetime.
routine, you know that she is just going back to that bar routine, wishing she could redo it.
But I'll tell you, I think that's the best I've ever seen her look. Double twisting double, beautiful double layout. Just really great stuff.
And what an emergence. Their first year as a senior gymnast, and here among the best in the world.
Has all the ingredients. Quick and cat-like in the air on that double-double. Watch this, double layout keeps her body nice and extended. Pretty good body position as she lands. You see them on beam. They also have a lot of value on floor.
I think I say this every single time we're on
Go
there.
ahead,
Just
say it.
not my favorite skill. But as you said, Tim, it's worth so much. It's hard for athletes not to do that skill. But you know what? A great week so far for her. Has had multiple mistakes here, but overall, her first World Championships, her first year as a senior, you have to think that she's now looking ahead, obviously, the uneven bar finals, but also next year, the Olympic Games, now just gaining the experience that she got here.
Into 7th place.
Und damit auf Platz 7 im Zwischenklassement.
And it's a clean slate. The floor is hers. The stage belongs to Simone Biles. Tang Xijing, look at that, in first place at the moment. Melnikova right behind in what would be the bronze medal position.
And now, on floor exercise, representing the United States of America, Simone Biles.
She caught last year at World Championships. That experience a disaster, even though it was her largest margin of victory. This could surpass it. The scores have so far.
And she won a medal in every single event, 6 of them in Doha. Her move, the new one, the Biles 2 on floor. Triple twisting double right here.
The other Biles.
Well, she's got another one, that's for sure.
Wow. She may only be 4'8", but here on this stage, with the entire world watching, she stands taller than anyone ever has or ever will.
Got used to that celebratory kiss. And eventually the hugs from everybody else. On her way to a 5th all-around title.
Unbelievable. I mean, her mount, this is that triple-double. One of 2 Biles skills on floor, just has way too much power on it. Has a 3/10 step back and both feet out of bounds, so that'll be another 3/10. It's just incredible, though. She does the hardest stuff in the world. Harder than anybody else can do, and she has overpowered almost every single one of the passes. It's mind-blowing.
And that dismount, a double twisting double back, I think I said this earlier, not many people can do this just by itself. At the end of the dismount, has too much power and goes out of bounds again.
There aren't many moments like that. Coming down to the final athlete, everybody watching, every gymnast standing and watching, not sitting, but standing as Simone Biles takes that stage at the end.
I don't think this is going to be a gigantic number by her standards, but it certainly will be enough to bring home that title.
14.4, 58.999. 2.1 the margin. Just keeps growing that margin.
And it could have been a lot bigger.
Her 16th World Championship gold medal, 22nd world medal in all. One more to tie the all-time record, man or woman, already the most decorated female gymnast. Everybody in awe, including the 16-year-old. So the final standing, Simone Biles wins the gold medal once again. Tang Xijing, how about that? Stepping in as a replacement and winning the silver. And Angelina Melnikova able to capture the bronze medal, guys.
Yeah, no, a great competition. I'm really happy for Tang. She was able to go out and kind of redeem China after falling off the podium into 4th place in the team.
Suni Lee ending up in 8th place. So the largest margin of victory under the current scoring system, 2.1 for Simone Biles. Take it all in. And we're going to have a chance to watch her throughout the week, as a matter of fact. She is not done yet. But it's the men's all-around final tomorrow, Olympic Channel, and then NBCSN. And the apparatus finals kick in Saturday. Team and all-around finals on Saturday on NBC. You can check that championship. Simone Biles, a gold medalist once again. The women's all-around final in the books. Back with you tomorrow once again for the men's all-around. Live tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. on Olympic Channel, home of Team USA. Until then, for Nastia Lukin, Tim Daggett, and Andrea Joyce, I'm Terry Gannon. So long for now, everybody, from Stuttgart, Germany.